My name is Mo, and I'm the host of the Hungry Creative Podcast. You know how they say knowledge is power? I like to think of knowledge as a tool that I personally have used to navigate through life generally. It could be on personal level or on a professional level. But specifically, thinking about the Hungry Creative Podcast, it was actually from how I found myself speaking with people, especially people that I look up to. And I realized that whenever I'm lost in a particular phase of my career, talking to these people always gives me direction. And I also look at it from like an analogy of someone in a dark room that has a torchlight, a flashlight. And having that flashlight kind of gives you or prevents you from running into obstacles because you're able to see clearly. Without that flashlight, you'll be running into obstacles. So I kept having these conversations at random occasions with different people, and there was no way of documenting them. I wasn't really documenting any of these things. I remember a particular day when I was coming from work and I was just driving into my estate, and randomly I ran into a colleague of mine, a former colleague of mine. Actually, I ran into New York, and I remember that day I just parked my car and we had like a very long conversation, probably about 2 hours. I just parked my car and we stood by the car and I was just talking. We were just talking to each other. Until now, I don't have knowledge of all the things we spoke about because we spoke about different topics, spoke about career, spoke about the challenges of being a creative in the industry and the future plans as well. So, but thinking about it now, I realized that I didn't document that conversation. So there's no way to reference it. There's no way to use it to inspire anyone else. There's no way to just, listen to it again and just take some things from it. And when I kept doing that on a regular basis, I would have conversations with strangers in random locations or places, and I'd never just documented these things. So I thought of, how do I start to document these conversations and how do I start to make them relevant to other people and hopefully inspire other people as a result. So that was the idea. That was how the idea of the podcast, that was how it came. And from just writing down these ideas, I started putting them into videos and just putting things together, and gradually we are here. Being hungry is just similar to when you need to eat. When you're hungry, you're like trying to look for food. You're trying to maybe either order food, or you're trying to make a meal, or just find something to put in your belly. In the same vein, being hungry as a creative, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, for me, is about having a reason to get up in the morning. It's about my why. Why am I doing this thing? And it's also from a point of curiosity. It's about just wanting to understand how things work, why things are the way they are, wanting to understand how people actually got to where they've gotten to, where they currently are. Just that curiosity to know what they did right when they had those challenges. Hearing from someone like Shay talking about how they hired people at that design was so beneficial to me. And someone else listening to that is probably also thinking of, oh, this is actually how they did it. So maybe I can adopt this in my own organization as well. It could be a founder as well. And for me, that hunger is what gets me up in the morning. That hunger is what inspires me to want to do more. That hunger is what makes me delve into different careers. As I've done, I've transitioned from being an architecture student to being a freelancer to being a banker, working in a bank. And what am I now doing? I'm now doing podcasting, I'm doing marketing. And it's just like I'm taking on different challenges because ultimately it's all about problem solving. It's all about having impact. It's all about, making impact and just building, just creating some way of, making impact ultimately. So for me, it's all about impact. It's all about curiosity. It's all about being able to answer the questions that keep me up at night. And when I came up with when the name came to me, I realized that name just summarized my core values and what drives me. So it was actually, I was thinking between the hungry designer or entrepreneur, but eventually I landed it at the hungry creative, which I believe summarizes what are the key pillars of this podcast. My career path has not been conventional. In fact, a lot of people struggle to know what I currently do. A lot of my friends still ask me, Mo, what do you do now? Are you a designer? Are you an architect? I think one thing that has been constant in my journey, like I said, has just been that hunger, that curiosity, and that willingness to make impact. And my career transition has really taught me a lot about the power of creativity. And creativity has no boundaries, really. Creativity is as simple as turning anything into something. It could be just a piece of paper. The moment you form it, you crumble it, or you tear it apart, it becomes something else. It starts to speak a different language. And in the same vein, creativity transforms also into like storytelling. It transforms into design. It transforms into art. So it's really like a way of just creating something, of just making something happen. I look at people like Virgil Abloh, people like Chris Do, people like different people that have achieved things, and I look into their careers and I realized these guys actually studied something else in university or maybe like college or something, and they eventually became something else. Looking at Virgil Abloh, who studied architecture, I was actually inspired by his story because he eventually became one of the most renowned fashion designers of our time. And seeing that he actually studied architecture was quite inspiring to me. As young as I was when I was still in university, I did not have any idea of the fact that someone could study something as professional as architecture and then end up doing something as diverse or as different as fashion, and he became well known for it. And I mean, the impact of his work is world known, like global. So I think the biggest inspiration what I've learned the most about creativity is that creativity has no bounds. You can really be anything. You can take a simple concept, a simple idea, and just turn it into anything. You can apply the knowledge you got from your BSc or your degree and apply it into any other thing that you want to do in life. And I have so many examples of people like this. Sheyi Olusonya also was my colleague in university. We studied architecture together, but he is now practicing as a designer and is so good at it as well as so many other people as well who have taken inspiration from whatever they've studied and transformed it into something else which they are currently practicing. Indeed, for sure. Definitely, financial stability is something that is very crucial for any person, any human being at all, any adult. Let me say, I'll say any adult. I mean, for the young ones, they might not really be bothered about financial stability at this point. But for the adults, yes, everyone wants to you want to have money in your bank account, you want to be able to open your app and have a smile on your face and have your investments getting dividends and returns. So I think in the same vein, every creative also has the struggles. For me, it's not new to me. Like, I've had my fair share of financial struggles earlier in my career. I remember when I was still freelancing, I didn't understand the concept of saving or investing or anything like that. I didn't even understand the concept of structure, of the need for structure in my organization. I was freelancing, like I said. I had not even registered my business at that point. I was just taking every gig, spend the money, rinse and repeat. And then I started speaking with some older friends and colleagues who advised me then to start to first step was to register with the company and start to look for collaborations, look for a way to build capacity by partnering with people, not just taking projects head on and just deciding to take all the money, but to find a way to leverage the skills of other people that can complement my own skills to deliver a better project. And this has been so beneficial. It took me from charging tiny amount of money to being able to demand higher rates, and I've done this like over the years, and this is something I'm still even doing right now, to even position me to better to demand better pay for work, and even the quality of work to be impacted as a result. So I think over the years I've been able to apply collaboration as a way to actually impact financial stability, because ultimately when the project is delivered, I'm able to get more money from it. I'm able to invest more into my equipment, and now we have a more robust structure in the organization. We have more staff, we have people that we need to pay salaries and all that. So ultimately, I think coming from that stage to now, I've been able to apply the money management skills that I've learned along the way by listening to people as well, by speaking with people who have done it. I've been able to learn from them as well. Absolutely. I think imposter syndrome is one of the biggest topics in the social, behavioral issues that we have in this day and age. And it's something that I've personally had my own personal struggles with. When I was starting out the podcast, I had so many questions, I had so many doubts. I was asking myself, who's going to listen to this? Who's going to watch it? Who's going to subscribe to the channel? Is this going to be a failed project? Is it going to be good enough? All these questions came to my mind, and at some point I had to just get myself out of it and say that I would not make any progress if I don't actually start it. And of course, I still spoke to people. I got inspiration from friends. I got inspired by some colleagues and just family and friends around who were able to get me out of that mentality to just, go ahead and start it. I spoke with my siblings, spoke with my spouse, and I was able to get out of this. And this is something that is not even like I've arrived at a place where I still don't have the struggles. I think it's a work in progress. I think everybody, even when I listen to people that have achieved, people that are at the highest level, they still have their own fair share of imposter syndrome, where you question yourself, you question why you're doing what you're doing, and it's just sometimes it can get one stuck in a position and they don't eventually do what they're supposed to do. But understanding the balance between the place of growth, the place of learning, the place of the little bits, the little pieces of growth, just taking it one step at a time, is very crucial. And if for any creative or any person that is doing work or that is thinking of doing anything, any project whatsoever, my advice to you, based on my own experience, is just go ahead and start it. Just go ahead and start that very non-perfect, imperfect work that doesn't have all that editing, all that effects. Trust me, you will get there, but it's never going to be day one. 100%. I think since we started the podcast, I've grown so much. I think one of the things I recently realized was that I now tend to ask better questions. I now tend to be a better listener. I've learned that having a good conversation is not just about responding, it's about listening. It's about paying attention to the emotions, the things that matter, which is what the person that is being interviewed is saying, and being able to hold back from that urge to respond for everything, and just being a better listener. It has helped me in my relationships with other people. It has helped me to be a better uh, to ask better questions, because the power, there's so much power in asking the right questions. I think you're able to also steer the conversation in a certain direction when you're able to ask very good questions. And ultimately, it has helped me become more confident as a person. It has helped me become more confident in my craft, in what we're currently doing, which I believe is what I've been passionate about for years. I just did not realize or have the platform to actually do this. I think I'm really impact driven, and this platform has given me an opportunity, a space to express this passion. So I think generally I've just grown as a person. I've grown in my interpersonal skills with people, being able to listen to them, as I said earlier, and being able to also ask the right questions. Season 1 was basically a test run. I'm grateful to my friends and to my former colleagues who came through. And as we all know, like as anyone would know, when you are just starting a new venture, a new business, a new anything whatsoever, you want to rely on your community, your immediate family and friends to patronize you in quotes. When you're starting out a business, you'd say, "Oh, my friends and family, come and buy this is what I'm selling." And in the same vein, I had my friends and my former colleagues who I'm lucky to know. And I just knew that, because there's an intersection of what they are experts in and what this podcast is about, it was perfect. So my first call was, Nigi, Sheyi, just a few people I knew around. And it was good because they were also experts in those spaces, and we're able to get the podcast running as a result, and I'm really, really grateful for them. So it has taught me a lot about planning. It has taught me about resilience and about just putting the work out there regardless of how finished or how unfinished it is. I think the first few episodes were so raunchy and very I think the editing, when I look back at it now, I just cringe. But I mean, it just shows that we've grown, and it was just a test run, really, right? It was a way for us to just get running, to hit the ground running, and be able to build momentum for where we are going. So it was quite challenging, I won't lie, as well, when it comes to the editing, the sending the invites, getting people to agree to a time, scheduling all that. It was a bit challenging, but I think overall it was a very good way to start. It was a good way to hit the ground running, and I'm sure that we're going to do even better in season 2. Personally, I'm really excited for season 2. Like I said, I think season 1 was a test run for us to be able to get just get work going and hit the ground running. And season 2 is going to be more exciting. I'm hoping to have even more experienced people that have done great work, people that are more established in their craft, people that have achieved a lot of things. We're going to be looking at founders, we're going to be looking at entrepreneurs, we're going to be having more conversations, not just regarding creativity or designers. I think the conversation is going to spread to more diverse audiences and more interest, because I believe these conversations are also crucial to even designers as well. Imagine speaking to someone who is a founder of a startup. Speaking with someone like that can provide tips on managing people, managing business, recruitment. It could be accounting, it could be investor relations, it could be diverse topics. So I think season 2 is going to have more diverse topics. That's one thing for sure. And we're going to be taking the conversation to a different level in season 2. So I'm personally really excited for that, and I look forward to an amazing session with each person on the session. For anyone thinking about starting any adventure or any endeavor, there's no perfect time. There's no perfect time, but now, as I say, like, the moment is right now. You have it. So you just need to start. You just need to get those videos out of your drafts and post them, and you develop structure eventually. You develop a there's something that they say that is a 21-day rule to break a habit, or to learn a habit. There's something like that. I might be paraphrasing, but basically there's muscle memory. We build muscle memory from doing something repeatedly. So the more you do it, the better you are at it. When you start editing, you realize that you're not so good, you're not fast, but in the next 2-3 months you realize that you've gotten faster, you've gotten more accurate. You know the shortcuts, you know what to do, you know what to press to quickly do something, and it just makes your workflow faster, and it makes the quality of the work also better. In the same vein, when you're starting anything, you might not be so good at it. Your editing might be raw and be unfiltered or unrefined, but eventually you get better at it. And embrace cheap or affordable equipment, right? And don't look for the perfect gig, the perfect equipment, or the perfect devices. And I remember when I was starting out, I was looking for equipment, and I stumbled upon like different equipment ranging from tens of thousands to the very cheapest one, which is basically using your phone. And I was looking for perfection. I was like, I need a camera, I need lighting, I need this, I need that. And I realized that when you look back at all these popular people, all these established people who have done great work, you see how they started from very crude and very you could say maybe very cheap materials or equipment, but over time they've grown, and they've also built capacity. They've started generating revenue. Now they can afford to buy better equipment. They can afford to get someone to handle the editing for them, a professional, and all that. So I think it comes with time. So don't put too much pressure on yourself to get everything right at the beginning. Just take it one step at a time. Start from the very few posts, and lean on your community for support. Very important. Lean on community for support, because trust me, there are days when you question everything, when you feel like, yeah, is this even worth it? There are days you feel like you don't have the support of your friends and family, but everyone is really going through their own journey. That's the truth. Everyone has their struggles. So get out of your head, number one, and just start now, and rely on family and friends. Rely on your community. They will really carry you through those rough days. Beyond just the conversations that we're having with these amazing guests, I would like the podcast to become a space where people can come to learn, to grow, to motivate each other, to be inspired, and also to inspire. I want it to become a movement. I want it to become a community of people with like minds and with similar motivation and drive. And I want us to be able to impact each other. I look at something like what Diary of a CEO is, like what Stephen Bartlett is doing, and I believe that with consistency and with time, not to put pressure on myself, but that's one of my benchmarks for how far I believe we can go and beyond by God's grace. Well, you can catch us on YouTube, and we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we're on Amazon Music, we're also on Instagram and TikTok, and it's all the Hungry Creative Podcast on all the platforms. So do follow us, like and subscribe to our channel, and please share with family and friends and anyone who you believe will benefit from listening to this. Season 2 is going to be even bigger and better, and I can't wait for everyone to be a part of it. My name is Mo, and you've been listening to the Hungry Creative Podcast. See you soon. Yeah. Do I need to? It's to bi-weekly still.